All you patrons, I formally summon you to gather
Ooh,
around.
wow. Somebody's Mr. Tuffy today, isn't he? He's summoning them. Ooh, lordy, lordy. Don't you be smacking the hand that feeds us.
Well, definitely, yeah. That's all you top floor patrons. You can continue doing whatever
Do
you
whatever
like.
you want. You can lounge around. Don't don't feel you gotta do anything you don't want to do. Just keep on being yourselves. Live in the moment, ladies and gentlemen. Especially if you're top floor patrons, live in that moment. Oh no, we've been getting kind of mindful around here. Going in for a little bit of life coaching and all that. You know,
Yeah, we've been. Yeah, that's what's been happening.
a bit of mindfulness going on.
That I don't like that word anymore. Especially, I
Well,
don't like that word out of your mouth in this context. It
what?
feels it feels like you're honestly, you know what it feels like? It feels like you're holding a revolver pointed at my head when you say that word.
Weaponizing mindfulness. I I I don't know. It's when self help goes real bad. So I take it you're not really feeling the healing action of mindfulness at the moment.
Uh, I'm in favor of mindfulness and healing on your terms, on your own terms, not someone else's terms. I don't want a mindfulness coach and I don't want a healing coach.
So you want to control the moment, is that
Uh, oh, we're gonna go here. I'm not gonna try to control the moment. I'm just gonna try to live in the moment. All I can be is me, right,
it?
Charles?
That's right. That's all you can do. All you can do is be yourself, and I think you have to live in the now and basically just let the now happen. I really believe that. It's not like you've got much of a choice. Ah, well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going a little bit cray-cray here, but no, I won't say the who or the why, but we did discover online a tapes by a mindfulness coach, and I'm afraid there've been endless hours of happiness for me. Very sincere guy. I mean, so sincere it hurts.
Do you think he is really? I mean, it's
Uh,
almost like I don't know when people like find an angle like that, and they have the soft talking and all this and that, and that feels I don't know. I just always
what
wonder. It's like okay,
are you trying to say that you think he's really in it for the old do re mi?
no, not just that, but the chicks too. I want to know, like, because as you astutely pointed out, all his followers are women, and he's got he the way he talks, like the way my interpretation of the way this gentleman talked is you could not actually talk like that around a group of guys. Like
Well, you could try.
no, but we wouldn't tolerate. Like you'd get needled. You would get needled, and you
Oh,
would
yeah,
you would become a pariah, and you'd become marginalized, and then you'd be out.
yeah.
Like,
It's true. Guys don't really talk like that
yeah,
to each other. I mean,
yeah.
but yeah, I suppose money and chicks. Well, you know,
I,
I suppose it self-actualizes him.
it self actualizes him. I guess so.
It's a consciousness raising thing. Do you
Okay.
have any
Well,
idea how much money it could take to really get your consciousness raised?
there's a lot of money in that industry. Consciousness raising.
Yeah, yeah. I consciousness raised every minute. we we charge by the consciousness.
Yeah, I mean, you're all in favor of raising awareness too.
I am in favor of raising awareness as a community activist and as an advocate. So I'm definitely in favor of raising awareness. I believe in transparency and sustainability.
Yeah, well, people don't use the word transparency half as much as sustainability.
Oh, they use sustainability quite a bit. My brother and I came up with a wonderful idea of starting the Center for Concern. What do you think?
Oh man, that's good.
Oh,
I love it because
we here at the Center for Concern are deeply committed to the evolution uh, and spreading of the sort of values that are needed today.
that's a little bit of scary there because that's kind of open ended. But yeah,
What do you mean open-ended? I think it's very descriptive. Also, if you don't want to get put on the Center for Concern's Transparency Watch, you got to pay a lot.
there we go. That's the cash cow aspect of this enterprise.
What did you think? You think we're you, you, you think we're in the consciousness raising business for our health? You think we're raising awareness as a freebie? It doesn't work that way, boyo. We're here to monetize raising awareness.
This raising awareness mob that's just
Yeah. What do you want to do when you grow up, son? I want to raise awareness. That's what I told my mother. She said, is there much money in that? I said, there will be.
wow. It's very prophetic.
Yeah, as it turned out.
Yeah.
No, I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, you, I, the centers and all sorts of great things, for really, really exploring who we are and our own inner depths. You can make a ton of money out of that stuff.
Somebody should do a study of how much I would say it's probably $1 trillion or around that pseudo spirituality type mumbo jumbo stuff.
Well, hold on a second. I think you almost hit the nail on the head. Someone should fund this study.
Oh.
Wheels within wheels. Someone should
Wow.
fund a study to determine the profitability of alternative spiritualities.
Alternative spiritualities. Wow, you went there.
I did. I
Oh.
did go there. I did go there. Even the way you're closing your eyes there, it's obviously you're blissing out. You're getting in touch with your inner chakras or something.
I don't think that's a thing, but as you say that, I'm surprised that it's not a thing. Alternative spiritualities.
Oh, it is the thing, surely.
Is it?
That's
I mean, obviously, alternative lifestyle is the term that I typically hear. I haven't heard
yeah.
alternative spiritualities.
Well, let me see. Yeah, alternative spiritualities, new religions. Yeah, there's a book. Alternative spiritualities.
Well, what does that mean? There's a book, so it's some guy like you, except he has no scruples.
Oh,
And just
says you. This is a great book. This is the title: Alternative Spiritualities, New Religions, and the Re-Enchantment of the West. That sounds good.
The Re-Enchantment of the West.
Yeah. The sociocultural significance of modern new religious movements. This is great stuff. Great stuff. The UFO cults and everything. Neo-pagans, UFOs, and other heterodoxies.
Let's take this in a more concrete direction.
If we did that,
let me try to steer this crazy train that we're on. When I searched alternative spiritualities, one of the rankings or one of the websites, it's actually the New Age movement. It occurred to me I don't exactly know what New Age means. It says it's a form of Western esotericism.
Well, see, again, that's a name that doesn't really. It raises more questions than it asks, because esotericism has come to mean almost anything. from the New Age, witchcraft, Gnosticism, Theosophy,
Yeah.
Rosicrucianism, and people tend to throw all that stuff into one big pile, although they're quite different from each other. What they all have in common is that none of them are what would be called mainstream. And what is mainstream, you ask? Well, the various Christian denominations and the various Jewish movements would be American mainstream. But they have,
Oh, go on.
well, but they can have their odd elements. I mean, think of as far as Judaism goes, think of the Kabbalah Center that Madonna used to hang out at.
This is such a strange sentence that I'm reading on Wikipedia. Typically viewing history as divided into spiritual ages, a common New Age belief is in a forgotten age of great technological advancement and spiritual wisdom, declining into periods of increasing violence and spiritual degeneracy, which will now be remedied by the emergence of an age of Aquarius, from which the milieu gets its name. Is that true?
No, yeah, I mean, going back to the '60s, there was the idea that we were entering the age of Aquarius.
So the age
You
of
see, with
Aquarius is an actual like meaning where like it's this reemergence of this like this good time.
yeah, and the rise of the counterculture in the '60s was heralded by many as well. You remember the song, "When the moon is in the seventh house and Jupiter aligns with Mars, peace shall reign throughout the planets and love shall steer the stars." It is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. Although, since we're in Wikipedia, source of all truth, um,
To
there's a very what's that?
to what extent is New Age like this New Age movement? Is it synonymous or at the heart of the counterculture of the 1960s? Like, I mean,
It's more it's sort of a product
it's a product.
and sort of
Because why I say that is as I'm reading this, it's hard to. It's kind of all over the place. It's kind of
it is.
and
It is all over the
the
place.
counterculture was kind of all over the place
Yes,
in
it
the
is.
same way. So
Yeah, these things are all over the place. The I must say though, the song "The Age of Aquarius," when the moon is in the seventh house and Jupiter aligns with Mars. Well, it says the lyrics. This is Wikipedia. The lyrics to this song were based on the astrological belief that the world would soon be entering the age of Aquarius, an age of love, light, and humanity, unlike the current age of Pisces. The exact circumstances for the change are when the moon is in the seventh house and Jupiter aligns with Mars. This change was presumed to occur at the end of the 20th century. However, astrologers differ widely as to precisely when. Here's the fun part. Astrologer Neil Spencer denounced the lyrics as astrological gibberish, noting that Jupiter forms an astrological aspect with Mars several times a year, and the moon is in the seventh house for 2 hours every day. So it could be that we're having sort of a nonstop, spoons of Aquarius being fed to us on a daily basis, and that we're actually becoming ever more Aquarian with every day that goes by.
have you ever heard of prosperity consciousness?
I have,
It
and
it,
I've heard of.
it is a term in teaching often referred to in New Age and New Thought communities, and it is a term sometimes used by financial professionals. It describes the belief that by opening one's mind to the financial opportunities in the world, and by living a life and having a perspective that welcomes financial resources, one will bring financial wealth into one's life. Prosperity.
Yeah, I know our brothers in the South Pacific call it the cargo cult.
Wow, that's very true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. If you live as though you build the airfields, one day the planes will come. It's like Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. Sure, it's voodoo.
Oh man. All right. Let's get on to the questions. This was fun, but time to get serious.
Yeah, well, that's okay, but I just think that each of our patrons right now should be kind to themselves. And they should take this time for self-healing and a little self-maintenance. And I think that our patrons should give themselves permission to be who they are, just for the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, that you did the breathing exercise. I like that because he does that. He goes, breathe deeply. He says breathe deeply, but he doesn't really. I'll let it out. Just the way you did that.
You
So.
really delved into that. That's
Well, I have to admit, I won't say which one, but is all over a particular social medium, and I just kept getting bombarded with his daily things for like a week, and I was mesmerized.
all right. You're mesmerized. He's got you under his spell now.
Well, not to the degree of sending money, though.
Ooh. Well, perhaps he's working on that. All right. Tampa. What? What's up? All right.
I was just gonna say I'm reminded of the Velveteen Rabbit, but never mind.
All right. Tampa Tobacconist says, "What exactly was a Count Palatine, or Count Palatine, and how did this title differ from that of an ordinary count?"
Well, interesting enough, it was originally a Roman title, and it was given out by both the Pope and the Emperor, because the Palatine Hill was the center of power in Rome under the emperors, under the old emperors, the pagan emperors. And in time, Palatine came to mean connected to any particular palace.
So, what does it was the center of power? What does that mean? The Palatine Hill was the center of power.
That's where the imperial palace was.
Oh, okay.
In fact, I think I could be wrong, but I believe the word palace itself comes from Palatine Hill.
Wow. Okay.
And both the popes and the emperors created Counts Palatine. With the popes, they became Counts Palatine of the Lateran. And these titles continue to be awarded until the 19th century or so. But the emperors, they called their particular palaces Phalzen, Palatinates. The most famous Count Palatine ended up governing a portion of Germany, which to this day is called the Palatinate, or Pfalz. But basically, the Counts Palatine were members of the imperial or the pontifical households. Now, in Italy and in other places, the royal chapel, what was called a chapel royal in England, was the Palatine Chapel. So that's where it comes from.
All right. Tampa Tobacconist also says, "I've seen a lot of inconsistent information about the impact of Sundays and feast days on the traditional Lenten fast. May Charles please explain how Catholics traditionally handled Sundays and first-class feast days during Lent? Was meat permitted? Were quantities restricted? Thank you."
Well, I'm frankly kind of hazy on this. The further back you go in time, of course, the more restrictive the regulations were. And I really could not give you a decent timeline. I'm sorry.
So, okay, so one of the things, so for me, when I'm going hard this Lent, I'm kind of not going ham on Sundays, but I'm, a little bit, you know what I mean? A little bit
Yeah.
of meat, a little bit of wine, and not only if I'm like really suffering, but So is that allowed? Because somebody had told me. Well, so I kind of actually picked that up from my brother because he would go really hard, and then I remember he would always wait up till midnight on Sunday to have a
That's
to have a little bit of wine.
that's
Um,
what I used to do. You bet.
so in Lent is 40 days, but without counting the Sundays.
Yeah,
Otherwise, it's beyond 40 days. So that felt like that was a substantial, that sort of clearly delineated the the Sundays of Lent from the rest of Lent.
yeah. There's the idea that Ash Wednesday through the Saturday before the first Sunday in Lent, um, you know, the they were bought, you might say, by the 4 Sundays in Lent were bought by those 4 weekdays before the first Sunday in Lent.
But I do, with all that being said, I really liked a tweet from Anthony Stein, one of our patrons. Anthony, if you're watching, we're following you. But for obviously St. Patrick's Day, I think you might have seen it as well, where he said, cause he kind of showed a map of all of the diocese, and they're ruling on whether you or not you get a dispensation on
Yeah,
it or on St. Patrick's Day or not. And his mentality I really liked, which was, okay, if you get a dispensation, you have a special opportunity to get graces for still holding the fast on
that is
Fridays.
true.
And
That
I
is
like
true.
that, right? Like that's an opportunity there. That's a kind of a cool mentality. So I really
But you don't
appreciated
get
that.
that opportunity in LA.
Um,
This year, Archbishop Gomez did not give the dispensation.
it's interesting. Okay, well I didn't have meat anyway, so I guess I'm okay. But
No, 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 no.
no, because I was at the Knights of Columbus fish dinner, and as I told this one Irish person, I said, well, St. Patrick's Day is nice, but the big feast day is I'm Italian, and the big feast day is in 2 days. The big feast day.
You told him that it was going to be rigatoni
I didn't
with
say that
marinara
explicitly.
sauce.
I didn't say that explicitly. That's funny.
Well, you got the St. Joseph's table coming up. By the
Oh
way,
yeah,
did you notice my tie
yeah. St. Pat, that's very very nice green tie. I love it.
with the shamrocks scattered over it?
Yeah, yeah, very cool.
St.
Uh,
Patrick's Green Isle.
absolutely. Saw your message of St. Patrick driving all the snakes out of Ireland in a car.
That's right. Are we there yet? I gotta go to the bathroom.
So that was cute. Okay. So I guess to finish off this question on the old traditions of Lent, how does Guéranger handle it?
Well, Guéranger gives a very good history of the practice of Lent and how, in the beginning, it was very, very strict. And he shows you the ways by which it became less so. But he doesn't actually say anything yay or nay about the Sundays in Lent in terms of meat.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. All right. Question from Timothy, who says, Charles, my question is this. If two not in the state of grace Catholics cohabitate and use contraception before marriage, and they get married in that state, does that necessarily invalidate the marriage? Or is the requirement for marriage validity a fairly low bar? For example, you know what marriage is in a birds and the bees kind of way, and you're not consciously willing anything contrary to the church's teaching on marriage at the moment the vows are recited. My priest instructed me that such a marriage is illicit and a sacrilege without confession, but it's not invalid. He also said that once the couple goes to confession, at some time after their nuptial mass, the graces of matrimony are then received by the couple. Is this correct?
Well, it's a very complex issue, and frankly, I would prefer in this area. I would definitely prefer a priest's opinion of my own. I would just say though that uh, the church, for instance, requires that a couple that are cohabitating split for several months before they will marry them. Uh, Now, whether a refusal to do that or not doing it would invalidate the marriage, I do not know. Uh, I just know it's one of the things that they generally demand. Uh,
I don't know if I
but
encountered that in ours when we did it. I mean, like, like this process where it's like, okay, what are you guys doing? If you're doing this, you better not do that anymore. Like, I never encountered that kind of. Maybe I did. Maybe I just didn't even notice because it wasn't even a question, and we just
no,
kind of casually answered it.
you guys weren't living together, so it
Okay.
wasn't an issue. You never lived together before you got married.
Yeah. So anyhow, but I okay. So that's good. At least that's like good that they actually asked that question then.
Yeah.
Um. All right. Last question for the pre-show is from Chicago Jacobite, who says, "Now communicating to you from darkest academia in the core of my cottage.
Ooh.
You know you are dealing with an academic when he blabbers on and forgets to ask the question, as I did last time. Different question this time, though. What is your take on James II? He is usually portrayed as inflexible. I cannot get a real read on his character or his actions for all the biased history. Charles?"
Well, I mean, he was kind of a wild man when he was young. Very promiscuous. Settled down. Got married. He was a I wouldn't say he was inflexible. He certainly uh, was willing to tolerate non-Catholic, non-Anglicans when he was king. Um, but he had an agenda that he unsuccessfully tried to get across, unsuccessfully and sadly. Um, After he went into exile, he became extremely pious, uh, and really, well, he became a servant of God. Although they've not done anything with him in any recent years, his cause for canonization is still open, and that's a good thing rather than a bad thing. Um, the There have been some recent books that portray him much more sympathetically than is usually the case. Uh, so I would say that I would say that he generally gets a raw deal.
Okay. Um. Okay. Very good. That'll do it for the pre-show. Um. We've got a lot of good questions on the main episode. So stay tuned.
Yeah, and be kind to yourself.
I think this gentleman's impact is that literally putting you to sleep. He's kind of like that. What's that other meme we we're talking about where it's like Barry Manilow, where
Yeah. Yeah, no, not Barry Manilow, Perry Como.
Oh, Perry Como, excuse me. Yeah, Perry
Perry
Como.
Como, just Mr. Relaxation. Just sort of, relaxing, not really, not really around. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Were we doing the show? All right, ladies and gentlemen, wakey, wakey, eggs and bakey. Hang out for the next show. And as as Vinny says, your patrons, you lie around, do whatever you want. We don't mind, just so long as you retain your patronage. That's all we ask.
Stay tuned.
All right, we'll see you in a few minutes. God